Hi guys in America. I am very happy that I will be reading for you my book, Queen of Seagulls. And here behind me you can see a little bit of Latvia nature. Latvia is super small country but really beautiful one. And this is actually a place where I come from. I grew up near by this river Gauja, and you can also hear some kids screaming very happily because they are having summer fun and they are swimming and they are now having summer vacation, so I hope you do too. And I will read my book for you in different places. So I will now just start with the first part. Hope you are ready. So, once upon a time, in a house that was neither old nor new, there lived a woman named Renata, who was neither old nor young. Renata's life was not easy. Her flat was beset on all sides with noises she couldn't stand. Children laughing loudly, neighbors listening to loud music. But above all else, Renata hated the seagulls and their loud shrieks. You could maybe hear some motorbike on the highway. Renata was ready to fight them. To spite these wretched birds, Renata spent her mornings writing to the city council. Every other day she would send a letter describing in a great detail how the seagulls tormented her with their screeching. But the council didn't reply and the seagulls continued to cry. Renata had never been one to give up, and nor was she going to this time. Surely there was something she could do. From her third-floor window, Renata watched as her ground-floor neighbor left out food for gulls, and then she dashed downstairs and quickly picked it all up. Hiding in the kitchen, behind drawn curtains, Renata ate all of it for lunch. For some reason, she found seagull food particularly delicious, and she ate it with a great relish, her fork clicking against the plate like a seagull's beak. Hello again. Now we are in Riga. It's a capital city of Latvia, and just behind my back you can see this yellow flat house. And the street is quite empty because it's a midsummer's holidays. So now we will continue from the place where we stopped yesterday. But then a whole new noise came along, making Renata's life completely unbearable. A man who played the accordion moved on the second floor. Every single day he sat on the balcony and sang, and all of his songs were about seagulls. This was too much for Renata. Now she had to turn downstairs all the time and bang on her neighbor's door, scolding him angrily. She began writing to the city council every day. My life is pure torment, wrote Renata. Why must I suffer so? The council still wouldn't reply, and Renata didn't know the answer to her question. Just as she didn't know why she hated girls so much. But the truth was out there, far away at sea, on a rocky island where the sun never sets. This was the kingdom of seagulls, and Renata, it turns out, was their queen. Here she sat on a high throne and listened to the voices of her subjects. Every day, the gulls would bring Renata fresh fish for lunch, and there was plenty of seawater she could drink to her heart's content. Actually, I have a little question for you. Is the water of sea drinkable? Not for humans, but it is for gulls. because they have special filter in their noses so they can drink the salty water. Something was missing in Renata's life. She didn't say anything, but at times her heart felt ready to cry out like a seagull. She secretly yearned for love and drew a seagull king on the back of her throne, scratching the rock like a gull would with its beak. At first, it was just a beautiful dream and beautiful drawing, but the loneliness and longing wouldn't leave Renata in peace. The seagull queen wandered around the rocky island and she thought she could hear all the gulls crying the same word: king. If only Renata had a handsome king beside her on the rocky throne, a king who would play the accordion for her. One day, when her loneliness had become almost unbearable, Renata saw something glinting in the water among the rocks. It was an ancient metal jug covered in barely legible writing. Whoever drinks from me shall forthwith leave this place, in which she is overwhelmed with pain and sorrow, and shall learn to hate all that she once held dear, read Renata. Without a second thought, she lifted up the jug to her lips and drank. The magic potion worked instantly. When Renata came to, she was already in a different place and felt like someone else entirely. Meanwhile, the gulls, sensing something was wrong, followed their queen across the sea, over the mountains and fields, to the very house where Renata now lived. Every morning they perched on Renata's window and with their loud cries begged the seagull queen to come home. But Renata didn't know them anymore, so she kept chasing them away and glaring at them angrily. Will the story end like this? It is not happy at all. But the hope remained hidden away at the bottom of the empty jug, where Renata hadn't even looked. Only love is stronger than the magic potion of hate, said the writing at the bottom. If love were to enter Renata's heart, the Seagull Queen's memory would be restored. Renata had no idea about any of this. Furious at her neighbor for making all the racket singing about seagulls, she devised a cunning plan. Soon you will have to be quiet. While the neighbor was eating lunch in his room, Renata, using a long fishing rod, hooked up his accordion and began reeling it in. Seeing his instrument rising up in the air, the neighbor ran out onto the balcony. The accordion bellows whined sorrowfully and stretched out as the neighbor, grabbing hold of the keys, was hoisted upwards. But the fishing line couldn't hold his weight. When Renata saw the accordionist lying motionless on the ground, she cried out like a gull and ran down the stairs faster than she ever had in her life. She sat by her neighbor in the ambulance and all the way to the hospital waiting for him to open his eyes. But it was no use, he slept like a dead. He didn't return home later that evening, he did return home later that evening, but his both arms, so accustomed to holding the accordion, were now in casts and completely useless. I won't be able to play for a very long time, he said, and Renata's heart ached with guilt. Renata took care of her neighbor every day and made him browse from the gull food she gathered. As the days went by, they sat and talked for longer and longer, and Renata had no time to complain to the city council about the seagulls.
Strangely enough, she actually didn't want her neighbor to play his accordion again, and one day he asked her if she wanted to hear a song about the gulls, and she said yes. And at that very moment she remembered the distant rocky Iceland, her queen's throne and her great longing. Renata also understood what the seagulls outside her window had been trying to tell her all along. Home, home! She opened the window. The gulls lifted Renata and the accordionist up in the air and carried them to the rocky Iceland. From that day, the kingdom of seagulls, far out at the sea, where sun never sets, had its own king and queen. And King played the accordion for Renata and the gulls, while Renata painted his portrait on the side of the cliff.